this is it. She's the one.
I just want to say something real quick. I know all you guys are like really, really tempted to like do stuff bad and all this other stuff, but like recently I've like had the opportunity to go to confession like once a week, and like even if I don't have like any big like mortal sins or anything, like even if I have like little venial sins, it really helps just to go in there and just talk to the priest or whatever just about the small things you've done, because it really keeps you away from leading towards the bigger sins you might commit. And it's really helped me to stay away from like the things that really tempt me to do.
I guess what I want to say is that you can't do anything without God's grace, without His help, because it's just impossible. And like Father Kevin said, that God never lets the devil tempt you beyond what the grace that He'll give you. So no great sin is too great that you can't overcome with God's help. And that's all.
Yeah. Because purity is not really a matter of just my body. As long as I meet these 5 rules, then I'm pure, and that I will be pure to the extent that I abstain from sex. If I've abstained for 6 years, I have 6 years worth of purity under my belt. Not at all. The lustful virgin is much more impure than the repentant prostitute that repented 5 minutes ago. And we need to realize that it's really a disposition of your heart, and looking at others and seeing them for who God made them to be.
Right. Just again, clarification, the lustful virgin and the repentant prostitute. Right, if someone who has physically retained their virginity but is harboring all sorts of impure thoughts, as compared to someone who has engaged in many impure activities, yet has recognized that they were wrong and truly repents of it, yes, that person can be, in the eyes of God, certainly on the better road, for sure.
Yeah, and I think we need to clarify, too, that it's not a sin to have a sexual desire. God put that into our hearts, not the devil. The devil can only twist and distort what is good and true and beautiful in us.
And he will.
Yeah.
And he will use that, particularly when you're young, and these changes and these emotions are coming about very powerfully, maybe for the first time. But before we move on, we have to take a moment here. And Father, you said it very well. You know, speaking as a man to young men. Well, you know, when I read that scripture verse, you know, if you so much as look at so-and-so, I said, that's it, I'm toast, I'm gone, it's over. You know, I'm going straight to hell. I just remember as a young man, you're practically obsessed, it seems.
And the advertising exploiting it continually by men's vulnerability by putting scantily clad women on everything and trying to get your attention through that.
Right.
But the church would teach that you're guilty, you become guilty of sins against chastity or against purity, either through thoughts or words or actions. So to distinguish that, to realize that I am attracted to the opposite sex, that I have a desire, that's not sinful in itself. Just like the homosexual person who realizes they're saddled with a desire, an attraction towards the same sex, that is not in itself sinful. What is sinful is if I act on these desires with indulging impure thoughts or impure actions with someone else or with self. That's where sin becomes involved, when my will begins to want to indulge the passion or the impurity. And that's a distinction we'd want to make. Because when you say the desire itself is not a sin, but that's not to be confused with, well, as long as I keep it within my mind and I don't, because you can, as Jesus is saying, you can be guilty of
big
misconception. Consent there that needs to take place. And when we hear those words, that whoever looks lustfully upon a woman has made her an adulteress in his heart, what the Pope says, that when we hear those, we should not see them as a condemnation, but as a calling. You know, he's a calling to real love, a calling to realize God's image in that woman, and a calling to see in her that desire that's in you, stamped in you to be one flesh with your bride, has been stamped in you by God. And once we untwist everything that the devil's trying to do in our head with looking at her as a thing, what we start to see in her is this call that God has written onto her body for us to make a sincere gift of ourselves, and by that true gift to find ourselves and to mirror the Trinity itself. But there's a lot of unpacking that has to happen because of original sin and all the temptation that's out there. We need to realize that it's really a disposition of your heart, seeing them for who God made them to be.